What's happening, seventh graders? This is 2.4, example 1, and we are multiplying and dividing rational numbers. So we got fractions, we got negative numbers, we got multiplying and dividing. Oh, the cool part though is I think multiplying and dividing fractions is easier than adding and subtracting because you don't need a common denominator. That's awesome. So let's take a look. It says find negative 5 and 1/5 divided by 2 and 1/3. So if we estimate this to kind of see where we should be ballpark range, we're going to round negative 5 and 1/5 to negative 5 divided by 2. And we should end up with somewhere around negative 2.5. Okay. So let's work it out and see the steps that we're going to take. So the first step is to write the mixed numbers as improper fractions. So we do 5 times 5, which is 25, plus the 1 on the top, that's 26. So we end up with negative 26 over 5. So then we do the same here. We do 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 1 is 7. We end up with 7 over 3, so that's this one. So we've rewritten the problem from these two mixed numbers to these two improper fractions. Okay? Now, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 7/3. So have you ever heard the saying, don't divide, flip and multiply? So you're going to flip the second number and you're going to multiply instead. So when you see dividing fractions, you don't actually have to divide anything. You're just going to multiply by the reciprocal. So don't divide, flip and multiply. So what we did is we took 7/3, we flipped it over. That's called the reciprocal, and made it 3/7, and we changed division to multiplication. Now we multiply the numerators and the denominators. So it's just top times top, bottom times bottom. So 26 times 3, negative 26, and 5 times 7. So you end up with negative 78 over 35. But you cannot put your answer in this way. That's an improper fraction. So we have to change it back to a mixed number. 35 goes into 78 2 times to 70, right? With 8 left over. So you have negative 2 and 8 left over. That's your remainder goes on the numerator, and your original denominator stays the same. So negative 2 and 8/35, that's close to negative 2.5, so we know our answer is reasonable. All right, let's take a look at some more. So we have negative 3 and 1, or sorry, not negative, just 3 and
Find 3 and
1/4
1/4
divided by
divided by
negative
negative
1
1
and
and
1/8.
1/8.
Let's
First,
take a
let's
look and see
take an
how they
estimate.
do it.
To estimate, what we want to do is round each mixed number to the nearest integer. So 3 and 1/4 will round to 3, and then we divide, and negative 1 and 1/8 will round to negative 1. So 3 divided by negative 1 is 3 divided by 1, which is 3, and then we have different signs, so that means the quotient is negative. So 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. So we will check our estimate once we find a final answer for 3 and 1/4 divided by negative 1 and 1/8. So now let's rewrite our original problem. We have 3 and 1/4 divided by negative 1 and 1/8. For our first step, let's write each mixed number as an improper fraction. To start with 3 and 1/4, we'll multiply 3 times 4, which is 12, and add 1, which is 13, and that's our numerator. Then we keep 4 as the denominator. We keep our division, and then to write negative 1 and 1/8 as an improper fraction, we'll keep our negative sign, and then multiply 1 times 8, which is 8, and add 1, so we have 9 in our numerator, and we keep 8 as the denominator. So we rewrote the problem as 13/4 divided by negative 9/8. So now we can divide. To divide two fractions, remember we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. So we have 13/4. Then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal is when we invert the fraction. Keep our negative sign, Then our denominator becomes the numerator. So 8's our numerator, and our numerator is now the denominator. So 9 is the denominator. So now we have 13/4 times -8/9. Before we multiply, let's look for common factors in the numerator and denominators. In this case, we have a common factor of 4. So we can divide out 4 from the numerator and denominator. So now let's multiply. We multiply the numerators, 13 times 2, which is 26, and multiply the denominators, 1 times 9, which is 9. And then, since we're multiplying a positive times a negative, we have different signs, so the product is negative. So we have -26/9. Now as our last step, let's write the improper fraction as a mixed number. To do this, divide 26 by 9. So 9 goes into 26 2 times, and we have a remainder of 8. So to write this as a mixed number, we have a whole number 2, 8, our remainder, is our numerator, and the divisor 9 is the denominator. Now remember, the product is negative, so we have -2 and 8/9. Finally, let's compare this answer to our estimate. -2 and 8/9 is close to -3, so our answer is reasonable. So we found that 3 1/4 divided by -1 and 1/8 is equal to -2 and 8/9.
All right, there you have it. That was a long one, but very